All you need to understand the market in a nutshell. This is Deep Dive Finance by N3WS.
Welcome in, everyone. It's Thursday, October 10th, 2024, and today we're diving headfirst into a cluster of stories that might seem scattered at first glance.
Yeah.
Robotaxis, international banking scandals, even airline troubles.
Right.
But trust me, there are some fascinating threads connecting them all.
What's really striking about today's news cycle is how it highlights the tension between rapid technological advancement and the system struggling to keep up.
Okay.
Whether it's regulations, infrastructure, or even our own understanding of the changes happening around us.
Okay, let's unpack that. And where better to start than with Elon Musk and Tesla?
Right.
They've finally unveiled their long-awaited Robotaxi.
Right. And it's crucial to understand that Musk isn't just aiming to replace your average Uber driver.
Right.
He's talking about a complete overhaul of transportation as we know it.
Wow.
He envisions a future where these self-driving vehicles are the norm, not the exception.
And while the idea of hailing a driverless cab is straight out of science fiction, the reality is a little more complicated. What are some of the hurdles Tesla's facing in making this vision a reality?
Well, the technology itself, while impressive, still has a long way to go.
Okay.
We're talking about incredibly complex systems that need to navigate real-world environments, which are unpredictable at best.
Right.
One of the biggest challenges is sensor technology, ensuring these vehicles can accurately perceive and respond to everything from pedestrians crossing the street to sudden changes in weather conditions.
It makes you wonder if Musk's timelines are a bit optimistic.
Yeah.
He's known for setting ambitious goals, but the technology has to catch up.
Absolutely. And then there's another layer to this, too, the competition.
Yeah.
Tesla isn't alone in this race.
Right.
Companies like WeRide and Baidu Apollo, particularly in China, are already running robotaxi trials in major cities and making significant strides.
And speaking of companies pushing boundaries, sometimes those boundaries are legal ones. Let's shift gears to TD Bank, which just got slapped with a whopping $3 billion fine for allegedly turning a blind eye to money laundering.
And this wasn't just a case of overlooking some suspicious transactions.
Right.
This was directly linked to drug cartel activity, highlighting the intricate and often opaque underbelly of the global financial system.
$3 billion is a massive fine, even for a bank.
Yeah, it is.
What kind of impact will this have on TD Bank specifically?
This goes far beyond just a financial hit.
Okay.
TD Bank could face restrictions on its growth and lending activities, which could have significant long-term consequences.
Wow.
This case raises serious questions about their risk management practices and overall corporate responsibility.
This scandal really underscores how interconnected the world is, from Silicon Valley innovation to international finance to, let's just say, some less than legal activities.
Right.
And speaking of interconnectedness, let's talk about something that's impacting everyone's wallets: inflation.
Right. The latest numbers came out today, and while we're not in hyperinflation territory, the persistent pressure on prices is undeniable.
Yeah.
Groceries are more expensive, gas is creeping back up, and it's creating a real strain on household budgets.
Especially for those on fixed incomes.
Yeah.
There's some news today that might seem like a silver lining at first glance.
Right.
Social Security recipients are getting their biggest raise in years, a 2.5% bump starting in 2025.
Okay.
But is that really cause for celebration?
That's the big question.
Yeah.
While any increase is welcome, especially in this economic climate, we have to remember that inflation is hovering around 3%.
Right.
So in reality, even with this raise, many seniors are still losing purchasing power.
It's a classic case of one step forward, two steps back.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, this theme of uncertainty and volatility seems to be a recurring one in our deep dive today. And this whole picture of uncertainty gets even more vivid when you look at how global events are impacting industries here at home, like the airline industry, for example. Delta just released their earnings report, and it's a mixed bag. Remember that summer travel chaos we were all dealing with?
Yeah.
Well, it's still lingering.
And if that weren't enough, they also had to deal with the fallout from that massive CrowdStrike cyber attack.
Yeah.
Remember? Turns out that little outage cost them a whopping $380 million.
Wow.
It's a stark reminder that even established players in the airline industry can be vulnerable to unexpected disruptions.
$380 million. That's a lot of peanuts for the snack carts, right?
Yeah.
But seriously, what's the overall outlook for Delta?
Despite those challenges, Delta is still turning a profit.
Oh, okay.
However, the industry as a whole is definitely bracing for a possible revenue hit in the coming months, and they're pointing the finger at the upcoming election.
Election jitters, are people really cutting back on travel because of the election? That's interesting.
It's a fascinating question.
Yeah.
It does make you wonder if this is a short-term blip or a signal of a larger trend. Are we about to enter a period of decreased travel due to economic and political uncertainty?
You know, it's funny how these seemingly separate stories, self-driving cars, financial scandals, even election worries, are all connected by this overarching sense of uncertainty.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's a reminder that we live in a hyper-connected world where events can ripple across industries and even impact our everyday lives.
Yeah, it's like we've been hopping between these different pieces of the puzzle, but it's all coming together to form a bigger picture.
A picture that's constantly evolving, which is what makes keeping up with the news so important.
Yeah.
It's not just about the headlines. It's about understanding the deeper connections and the implications for our world.
And that's where a deep dive comes in, right? To help you cut through the noise and see the bigger picture.
Absolutely. Now let's take a moment to step back and tie these seemingly disparate stories together.
All right, listeners, we've covered a lot of ground today. Robotaxes, money laundering, the ever-present pressure of inflation, even the airline industry's woes.
It's been a whirlwind tour of the news cycle,
Mm.
but I think there's some clear themes emerging that connect these seemingly disparate stories.
Okay, so what's the common thread? What's the big takeaway here?
One word, uncertainty.
Uncertainty.
Whether it's technological disruption, economic volatility, or even just figuring out how to afford a carton of eggs. There's a sense that the ground is constantly shifting beneath our feet.
And that's not exactly a comforting feeling, is it?
No.
It's like we're all just trying to hold on tight and hope for the best.
It can definitely feel that way. But here's the thing. Uncertainty also breeds opportunity.
Okay.
Take the rise of self-driving cars, for example.
Mm.
It's a radical shift in transportation. But it also has the potential to create new jobs, reduce accidents, and reshape our cities.
So instead of fearing the unknown, we should be looking for ways to harness it.
Exactly. The future is unwritten, and that can be daunting, but it can also be empowering. It means we have a role to play in shaping what comes next.
And that brings us to our parting thought for today, listeners. We've thrown a lot of information your way, but now it's time for you to do something with it as you go about your day. Consider this. What piece of today's news do you think will have the biggest impact on your life in the years to come? Will it be the rise of robo-taxes, the ongoing battle with inflation, or something else entirely? The answer might surprise you. Until next time. Keep asking questions, stay curious, and most importantly, keep diving deep.